Flory Models, kit review time. Today we've got something a little bit different. We've got Moebius's Battlestar Galactica. This is 1 in 4,105 scale. Yes, who knew? Okay, as you can see, extremely iconic. This is from the new version of Battlestar Galactica. Obviously when they started ripping bits off of it. Right the way through. Some of the other stuff that we've done, we have reviewed in the past. I think we've done the Viper, the Cylon Raider, things like that in the past. Right the way through. You see this is a brand new kit. Still sealed, some nice images from the film, or the series I should say, and everything else like that. So let's take a dive in here. As I say, I haven't been in here yet. Now, Moebius, we've looked at their kits before. I think we must be due for their own section on the Flory Models site now for the reviews, because we do quite a lot of them. As you can see, the first thing to remember is they're not as highly detailed and as crisp as other models. This does give you the overall appearance, and it's really down to you to detail up if you wanted to, or certainly go in there with some fantastic weathering and bits and pieces. So, as you can see, get in the box. Oh, thought it was on the lid there. Okay, there we go, there's our box. Stick that in there. Let's move those. Alright, so as you can see, straight off the bat, you've got some quite large, lumpy areas down in here. Now, I always like doing their kits because they're very much like the sort of motion picture way of doing things. We've got a metal bar down in there. First of all, let's have a look through the instructions. I think that might be better. Getting ahead of ourselves there. Alright, and we can get the camera right in. So, let me just drop this back just a little bit. So we've got some various bits from them, the actual film. Some nice profiles showing exactly how it is and everything else like that. Before you start assembly of this kit, please read the instructions. This is not a simple kit, and there are some assembly steps that you would need to understand and follow correctly in order to achieve satisfactory results. I've never seen that before. Okay, actually, I tell you, this is a lot more detailed than I have seen before. I must admit, I'm used to a couple of halves going together, and that's it. This one is a different bird altogether. As you can see, showing the actual construction is a little bit, 1, 2, miss a few, 99 and you're done. So you are going to actually take care to go through it. It's always nice that Moebius take the time to actually tell you exactly how it goes together rather than just showing you. But basically we've got the system here of the actual main fuselage, if you like, areas coming together, or the main hull going together. Then you've got these sponsons for obviously the fighter decks and things like that on the side here, showing you the parts as well in reality. So that's a nice little touch from them, and then showing you the steps as they go forward. Obviously the forward of Galactica showing you up here, so obviously we've got the laser turrets and the various bits and pieces going onto there, and then showing you the real parts themselves and showing it the assembly as it should be. Again, very nice touch. Okay, and then same on this side. So we've got for the actual engines on the back, the various things, the sponsons being put together, showing you some of the detail down in here. I'm just looking down there, because that looks like an LED bulb. We need to look at that. Okay. But actually this is the flight deck area going down in there, and all the areas, I must admit, very nicely detailed. And then right the way up, and then on the stand, and that's why that metal pole is. And then obviously we've got call out to various paints, washes and various things in here like this, right the way through, and then showing a completed one just down here. Very much a different way of doing it all, and as you can see, a very nice one done there as well, showing you actually the decal placements and everything else like that. So I must admit, that's slightly taken me back. I'm not used to these kits being quite as detailed as it's showing. Okay, so if we just take this. So this metal bar, as we know, is actually just for the actual stand itself. So it doesn't come with a display base, I don't think. I think it's just a stand, but we can have a cut in from this side to see what we get. Now, over the years, I've seen various kits of this done in various states, but I must admit, I am very impressed. I've never seen one with this level of detail before. Some very nice touches down in here. Obviously we've got this ribbing with the outer skin and showing in sections and things like that. Very nicely done. Now, I know the purists out there would say about it would be nice if this wasn't directly moulded down, perhaps if there were plates on top of this. And okay, I can go with that. If you did the ribbing and then place these on, I must admit I would have preferred that than having, because obviously you've got large chunks of it laying down on here instead of it being like that skin effect right the way over the outside. But generally, as you can see, okay, a little bit clunky inside, going to need a bit of cleanup, but we have got these locating ones down here. These tabs I wouldn't worry about, and some of them they've snapped out of the way. All right, but it hasn't caused any stress on the outside of the kit. Looking at it, you might notice a little bit of release agent glistening. Just catches it in the light, especially up around here. This means I would definitely wash this kit before I started it, purely because obviously they sprayed it with release agent to get it out of the mold, okay, and just to ensure it's clean separation, and it's dried and gone crispy on here. What tends to happen then when you come in, especially with acrylic paints, they don't tend to like it. Okay, so the lower half, again down here, beautiful details you can see down here. Now we start going around seeing if this is bits of other kits. I don't think it is in these day and age, but definitely looks like a couple of old cannons lying down there. All right, but generally, as you can see, very nice, very crisp. Some nice detail. Actually, this is probably the nicest detail. It's a little bit flashy. We've got a little bit of join work just down here and things like that, but not too bad at all. This is the forward section, and then the engine's at the rear. Okay, so this is the forward one of Galactica. Again, very nicely done, nice and clean. This one's a bit crisper actually. It's not as much flash or anything else on this one. The lower, obviously underneath, very nicely done. Actually got the numbers on the parts themselves, which can come in very handy. Okay, engine areas down to the rear, they're very nice as well. Some good details down in there, very nicely done. We like that a lot. Okay, we've got this guy here, which I'm not sure what that is. Okay, I'm sure it's in there somewhere. All right, we have the bottom stand, so it does come with a little stand with the Galactica emblem on there, just like that. This is the lower part. Again, some nice details down in there to the rears. A little bit of flash off sprue, but to be honest, the actual parts themselves, no problem whatsoever. Again, these tabs, just be careful when you're putting it together. Before you come in with the glue, test fit it and make sure these aren't going to foul anywhere on there. And as you can see, we've got some dates down here and things. So it's got made in China 2010, and then next to it we've got the 25th of the 8th 2014. So obviously this is the original manufacturing date of sort of, 5 years ago now, and then obviously this is when the date this was actually made. Okay, so it's just about a year old. Okay, so yeah, very nice. I'm very impressed with the crispness of this detail. Again, I hate to say it, but we've built a couple of Moebius kits, and we've certainly reviewed them over the years now, and every one you sort of look at and you have to say to yourself, but it's a Batmobile, or but it's this, and but it's that. And obviously the last one we did was the brand new Interstellar. So we did the Ranger review. You can go and have a look at that one now. It's up on the Flooring Models site. But as I say, when you look at it, it looks awful. It's clunky, it's big, and all the rest of it, but it is what it is. The overall shape is very good, it's very accurate, and you can use it to move on from. This is more of a detailed kit. This is the first time I've looked at a Moebius kit and thought, it's a kit, it's got detail, it's all there. It's not softly moulded and just sort of chucked together. This is actually some very nice moulding and everything else down here. A lot of it is all this framework, which makes this kit, it is extremely nice, very good to see. Some parts about to drop off the sprue there. All right, again, we've got the other parts of these sponsons on the side, looking very nice, very good details on all of those. As I say, I'll just be wary of things fouling as it goes together. Test fitting, I think, is a bit of a must. Blind side to everything down here. This is just structurals for insides. Okay. And again, we've got the sponsons, the actual outriggers, if you like, holding it together. You might see you've got a bit of flash. In fact, I think there's a bit of a mismold just in here, but generally not too bad. Simple cleanup. A couple of swipes with the sanding stick will take care of that very nicely indeed. But as I say, a little bit on there, just there. And then down in here, we've got the actual engines themselves. The nozzles at the rear, this is the in part of these. They're going to sit in something like that. And to be honest, the guns are pretty awful. If we're honest, they're very big and flashy all around them. They all need a bit of cleanup to get them to be sort of film scale, things like that. But you could always replace them if you wanted to. Scratch build and things like that on there. A little bit of flash around these engines, but generally very nice. Clear parts, not so much. As I say, they don't really have to be that clear. So obviously this is back end for the engines, things like that. As you can imagine, pretty straightforward. And then last up, we get this, is what I was looking at before, which is obviously the hangar deck floor, which is weird. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wouldn't have thought you would have got that And there it is. It looks like an LED circuit board, or you know, the actual plate, but this is actually for both sides of the actual landing bay, or the sort of flight decks on the sponsons on the sides, and then obviously we've got the emblem which will go on the roof, and then Galactica down on the sides, and everything else like that. Although does it have it on there? Yes, it does. Still has them on there. I didn't know if they removed that bit by now, but there we go. So that's 6575 Galactica. There we go. As I said, I am surprised, pleasantly surprised, don't get me wrong. The level of detail on this particular kit is far greater than what I've seen on previous kits of their incarnation and things like that. Definitely the instructions are a little bit all over the place. They're not straightforward and easy to follow. Now I've looked at the plastic as well, so you do want to make sure you go through. I think dry fitting will be essential on this particular kit. It's a little bit buggy, a little bit flashy, and I think some time spent in just test fitting parts, sanding, getting them to fit better, so you don't have to come in there with tons of filler and obviously trying to weld things up and stuff like that. That again, she's very agricultural, you can see down on here with the picture. And what I would love to do with something on like this, you might be able to see it just off shot here, we've got the Starfighter down here, is experiment with metallizers on it and then dull them back to give you that heavy metal look of Galactica actually has, that looks like she's been through the wars and everything else like that. But generally, the finest detailed Moebius kit I've seen yet. But as I said, I can imagine it just needs a little bit of time, a little bit of test fitting, and you should be absolutely fine with it. So if you are a Battlestar Galactica fan and all the rest of it, then this is definitely a must for you.